I've given over $50,000 to my parents, and I don't regret it for sure. Like, I don't regret it at all. But if I were to have invested that money, that would have been about $70,000. But I've got nothing to show for that. So I've had a few people ask me, like, Wahidah, how do you figure out how much to send back home to your parents? And of course, this is a deeply personal question, right? But I want to go through how I figured it out for myself, so hopefully it helps you. You may find yourself in the child of immigrant parent trope, right? Where you are your parents' retirement fund. You are their safety net. If you're anything like me, you may find that you have a lot of survivor's guilt. That's where you feel guilty that you made it out, that you're doing well, that you made it out of poverty, but they're kind of still struggling. Once I got my first job after college, I started sending money back home. And I figured out how much by looking into what I was willing and able to send. At the time, I was making $32,000 in the Midwest. And I was also looking into how much they needed. I did ask them kind of like what their bare bones budget was. So, like, if they were to lose all income, how much did they need to survive? It was a little hard to get that information. So, I did also a quick Google search of like, how much does it cost to live in the countryside of Malaysia? Then, based on the amount of how much I was willing and able to give and how much they needed, middle ground area. And I want to caveat that maybe you're wanting to give to your parents and you're like strapped for cash, or maybe you're a little bit more like me and you're just not that close to your parents, but you still feel that survivor's guilt. As you're figuring out how to give, how much to give, like, I want you to hold that boundary, right? So, like, figure out how much you're willing and able, and don't feel like you need to give more than that. It's important that you hold your boundaries, because what happens when you don't? For me, when my parents started asking for money for one-offs and whatnots, I would just give it to them. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, if you need it, fine. I found it hard to say no. And then over a year ago, when I was in Malaysia, my dad was like, you should buy your mom a house. And this was once he found out how much I had saved up. He was like, you should buy your mom a house. And I was like, I'm not close to her either. And so, like, that was a quick shutdown. If I didn't have stronger boundaries, I may have like negotiated, like, oh, maybe I'll give you a little bit of money. Maybe I'll help pay with the down payment. The audacity, right? Ugh. Anyways, once you figure out what you're able and what you're willing to give, stick to that boundary. Don't let survivor's guilt run your finances. If you start making more and you want to give more, go for it. I started giving about $400 a month rather than $300 a few years back because of inflation, because it's expensive out there. But hold your boundary, because the best case scenario is that you give more than you're wanting to give and it cuts into your lifestyle. The worst case scenario is that you're cutting into your own safety net, right? And you're cutting into your own emergency fund. You're cutting into your own retirement fund. Make sure you're filling your cup up first, and then you're giving what you can. And I did a whole video about the 7 money patterns that's keeping you broke. And it goes into talking about this too, about how children of immigrants will give and give and give, and it cuts into their wealth building potential. Because I've given over $50,000 to my parents, and I don't regret it for sure. Like, I don't regret it at all. But if I were to have invested that money, that would have been about $70,000. But I've got nothing to show for that. So just know your numbers. Make sure you're taking care of yourself so you're able to take care of yourself when you're older and you're able to take care of your loved ones when you're older as well, okay? All right. Until next week. Bye for now, friends. And I don't know why this video is kind of doing this little crazy cutoff thing, but I don't want to record this again. I've recorded this like 8 times. We're done. I'm done. Hope you like it.